Hello, movies in short here. Today I'm going to talk about the comedy/horror film, Rubber. Spoilers are ahead. Take care and be safe. The picture begins in a lonely California desert, with a gathering of people gathered to see a film. A police cruiser quickly comes on the scene and destroys all of the chairs used as props. Sheriff Chad then gets out of the car, grabs a drink of water from his partner, and begins outlining the film's concept. He begins by stating that many cinematic moments happen for no apparent cause. He uses movies such as Romeo and Juliet, The Pianist, and JFK to demonstrate that all great films contain a crucial element known as no reason because life itself is full of no reason. The sheriff then sprinkles water on the ground, underlining that the conduct had no reason. After he drives away, an accountant gives binoculars to everyone before departing on a bicycle. The spectators look through their binoculars at the distant landscape, excitedly awaiting the start of the film. At first, they see nothing but the empty Californian desert, prompting one of them to wonder if it is an ancient silent film. However, a woman notices movement in a trash area. She then enthusiastically proposes that her pals appear that way. The scene moves to the rubbish can when a vehicle tire named Robert springs to life. It first learns to stand straight before figuring out how to roll. It then approaches a plastic water bottle and pauses for a moment before rolling over it. Next, it notices a spider and nonchalantly smashes it to death. However, if it comes upon a glass beer bottle, it cannot smash it by rolling over it. Frustrated, Robert vibrates violently and utilizes his psychokinetic abilities to smash the bottle. This stimulates the audience, who are now completely immersed in the film. In the following scenario, Robert travels through the desert to the settlement. On the way, it comes across a tin can and uses its psychokinetic power to make it explode. Following that, it continues on its trek, eventually resting under a tree as night sets. The audience falls asleep in the open air, anticipating another day of watching the tire do magic tricks. The following morning, Robert awakens and begins his day by drinking water from a nearby pond. Just as it finishes, it is surprised to notice a rabbit nearby. It then begins to vibrate wildly, unleashing its psychokinetic abilities. As Robert focuses on the bunny, it suddenly explodes into fragments. This barbaric deed makes the tire very happy, and it spends the rest of the day treading contentedly in the desert. Meanwhile, the accountant arrives at the venue and discovers the audience sleeping in the desert. Before waking them, he rummages through the area, snatching money from two sleeping guys. He then wakes up the crowd and instructs them to prepare for the film. After spending the night there, some audience members express their hunger and want for breakfast. However, the accountant ignores their objections and instructs them to take their binoculars as the picture approaches its finale. Meanwhile, Robert walks down the deserted road until he notices a stunning woman driving past. It attempts to utilize its abilities on her, but only succeeds to stall her car. As the tire moves towards her stranded vehicle, a truck speeds past and runs it over. This breaks the link, allowing the woman's automobile to restart. After she drives away, the infuriated tire uses its powers to blow out a crow. It then follows the truck to a gas station, where the driver attempts to call someone using the payphone. Shortly after, the motorist tries to continue his journey, but is stopped by a curious, standing tire. Robert quickly begins to shiver violently and focuses on the trucker. It expends all of his energy, shattering the man's head into numerous pieces. The audience viewing this film appreciate the terrible scenario since they assume it is all manufactured. After exacting his revenge, Robert discovers a nearby desert village where he meets the lovely woman again. She parks her car on the wayside and checks into a motel. Robert then watches her shower via an open door, which she later locks. Following this, the tire settles into the room next to hers. It watches TV like a person and uses its powers to change channels before falling asleep on the bed. The audience continues to watch the unfolding events, assuming they are all part of the film. Later, we discover that the accountant behind this film is also staying at the same motel. As he cleans his shoes, we notice a live turkey next to him. Just then, he gets a call from someone he addresses as Master. The Master gives him certain commands, which the accountant promises to implement the next morning. He then opens his briefcase, which is packed of weapons, and takes out two sharp knives to prepare the turkey. In the morning, the motel maid enters Robert's room. She discovers muddy tire tracks on her bedsheet and wonders who would carry a tire into the room. She then discovers Robert in the shower and throws it away, believing the guest was playing a joke on her. But this simply enrages the tire, which responds by blowing up her head. Shortly after, the hotel owner's son discovers Robert reawakening and locking himself inside the room. This terrifies him out, so he instantly tells his father about it. However, the latter does not believe him and suspects him of bluffing. Instead of upsetting his father, the boy is sent to get pizza. He rides his bicycle down the road just as the police come to investigate the maid's murder. Meanwhile, the accountant arrives at the scene and awakens the viewers by handing them fried turkey. They eat quickly after not eating for 2 days. However, a man in a wheelchair is unable to participate due to his condition. The picture suddenly moves to the road, and the motel owner's son comes carrying pizzas. He comes to a halt in front of a dead crow, the identical one that Robert had blown up the previous day. He picks up the carcass and sets it on the pizzas, murmuring that these are the extra toppings his father requested. Back at the motel, Robert follows his crush to the swimming pool, where he anxiously watches her dive in. When she's finished relaxing and leaves, she jumps into the pool and rests for a while. In the meantime, a young boy in the crowd experiences a terrible pain in his stomach. His father believes it could be because he ate too quickly and tells him that the ache will subside on its own. However, more people begin to display symptoms of illness, including vomiting. The man in the wheelchair, who had not eaten the turkey, speculates that the food may have been poisoned because he is the only one who is not sick. All of the viewers, save for the wheelchair guy, quickly lose consciousness and die on the ground. Back at the motel, police investigators, including Sheriff Chad, are investigating the maid's gruesome murder. The motel owner's son tries to persuade them that the tire is alive, having seen it enter the room where the maid was discovered dead. Unfortunately, they don't believe him, and his father continues to chastise him for talking garbage. Dad becomes so enraged that he smacks the tire on the floor and throws it away. Suddenly, an alarm sounds on the sheriff's watch, and he proclaims that their acting is complete. He instructs the motel owner to go home because they have finished their role in the film. He even orders his officers to stop the act and return to their families and normal lives. However, the perplexed cops inform him that this is real life because a dead body lies next to them. Sheriff Chad responds by requesting one of the officers to shoot him. Surprisingly, the gunshot does not injure him because he is wearing a bulletproof vest with fake blood. Chad then continues to persuade his officers that the entire incident is bogus and that they can all go home immediately. The cops are still perplexed and question him about the maid's dead body, to which Chad proudly responds that it is also part of the video. Chad becomes concerned when the maid, who has no head, does not wake up long after the film has ended. He confronts the motel owner, questioning him about his relationship with the maid. While they are conversing, Robert the tire appears and busts the motel owner's head for mistreating it previously. After seeing the awful murder, Sheriff Chad bursts out of his acting and knows what is going on. He also hears the motel owner's son's statements and understands the tire is on a murdering spree. Shortly later, he gathers his policemen and apologizes for being caught up in the film. He then takes the police on a tire hunt. Meanwhile, Robert the tire stumbles onto a mirror and finally sees his reflection. He finds he has been a tire, not a human, all along. The scene then turns to the wheelchair person, who is the only one still alive and watching the film. While he is looking through the binoculars, the accountant interrupts him with a table of poisoned food. We learn that the accountant also intends to kill him, therefore ending the film. However, the wheelchair guy refuses to eat and requests to be left alone. The accountant then attempts to persuade him by discussing his childhood recollections. He admits that he liked killing his older brother by bashing his head with a large stone. While reflecting on his past tragedies, the accountant inadvertently consumes the poisoned food and dies in the same manner as the audience. But the wheelchair guy doesn't bother aiding because he thinks it's all part of the act. Meanwhile, the cops pursue Robert along the road, eventually confronting him face to face. However, this turns out to be a big error, as the demonic tire begins to vibrate violently. It turns its attention to the lieutenant sitting in the police car and ruthlessly strikes his head. After fleeing the cops, Robert comes across a group of people burning a massive pile of tires. He is outraged to see his kind being slain in such a brutal manner. The image then flashes forward 3 days to show the aftermath of a killing spree. The streets and supermarkets are littered with dead, headless bodies. The police continue their search for the deadly tire, eventually discovering it watching an auto racing program in a house after killing the occupants. Sheriff Chad then devises a plan to eliminate the tire for good. He comes a mannequin that looks like the gorgeous woman from earlier and rigs it with dynamite. He hopes that when Robert blows up the mannequin's head, the explosives will go off and harm him as well. Sheriff Chad then asks the lovely woman for help in luring Robert out of the residence. They eventually succeed, but when the tire smashes the mannequin's head, the dynamite doesn't blow. This enrages the sheriff, prompting him to take action. He enters the house and murders Robert with his shotgun before handing over the tire to the wheelchair person, who had been waiting for the film to end. Just as the sheriff and other officers leave, a tricycle emerges from the house. The wheelchair person understands Robert has just been reincarnated and begs for compassion. He informs the tricycle that he is only a viewer, not a character in the film. However, despite his protestations, the tricycle kills him, blowing not only his skull but also his entire body into bits. This indicates that Robert has grown more powerful and furious. The film ends with the trike rolling along the road, resurrecting an army of tires on its journey to Hollywood.